Hello, welcome to The Body of Art by Shonda Davis. So, today we are going to be talking about these topics right here. So, the first topic that we're going to talk about is Giada's lamination. After that, we will be talking about Donatella's David. Then, next, we will be talking about Peter Paul Rubens' Elevation of the Cross. Then we will be talking about Rembrandt van Rijn Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Tulip. Then David Oates of the Horatio, Aradio Manet's Olympia, and Picasso Les Demisio de Havilland. So the first painting that we will be talking about is Giada's Lamination. So this painting was created in 1305, and the artist of the painting is Giotto. So pretty much this painting is a painting of Christ who has just been taken off the cross from being crucified. And so as we see in the painting, we see Mary, who is his mother, holding him up and swaddling him. And, pretty much you can see in her face expressions, it's like she's praying and asking, please wake up, please wake up. And so as you can see, there are all these people that are surrounding them and that are mourning and that are sad and that are upset of what is going on that has just taken place. And so pretty much this situation of Mary and Jesus, Giotto did such a great job with this painting because it takes you back to the birth of Jesus Christ when Christ was being born and Mary was holding him and swaddling him, and that started their relationship and their closeness. And so for Giotto to have that same significance in this painting is a very important piece. And as we can see, Jesus Christ is not at the center of this painting. He is on the left side, but he is still the main center attraction. As you can see, everyone's faces is directed to Jesus Christ and Mary. And so the word lamentate means to grieve. And this is such a modern idea that Giotto did because, as we can see, he has emphasis Christ as a human. And so, as we can see here, the landscape behind them, he did such a great job with this because the landscape behind them directs to Jesus Christ and Mary. And so as we can see, the artist wanted to make sure that Christ was the center of the attention in the painting. For example, these two figures right here, their back is towards the viewer. So their back is towards us, which means that their eyes are faced on Christ and focusing on Christ. And so as you can see, Mary's posture and the way she's holding him, you can see that her right knee is propped into him so that she can support him. She bends forward. One arm is around him. The other arm is on his shoulder. And so you can just see that she's very sad and, upset of what has happened, that her only son has been crucified. This is a very interesting piece here, right here, because this is Mary Magdalene. And so Mary Magdalene is touching Jesus Christ's feet. And so this takes us back to the biblical tradition when in the Bible, Mary anointed Christ's feet. And so Giotto did such a great job with putting this piece in because it represents a biblical tradition that's in the Bible. Now let's go take a look at the angels. As we can see, the angels are mourning. Some of them are pulling their hair out. Some of them has their hands on their heads. They're just mourning at this loss. Giotto does a great job with still allowing it to be focused on Christ, because as you can see, these angels are looking where? Down at Christ. And so Giotto makes sure to not put a lot of emphasis on the angels, because he doesn't want the viewers to get distracted of the main purpose. And the main purpose is Christ. And so another interesting thing that Giotto does is with this tree. As we can see here, this tree has no leaves on it. And so we could possibly say that it is wintertime and that Christ has died in the wintertime. And so he makes a connection with the tree in Christ. Why? Because there are no leaves during this time, which means that the leaves have all died. That's the same thing with Christ. It's wintertime. Christ has just been crucified, and so he has passed away. And so in the springtime, Christ resurrects and comes back on this earth, just like these trees. These leaves blossom and grow back in the springtime. And so I think Giotto does a great job with the connections and still making sure that the landscape goes directly to Christ and Mary. Giotto wanted to make sure that the focus was Christ and his mother. And so I just think that, you know, he does such a good job with making sure that we understand the focus. So let's go to the second painting. So the second painting is Donatella's David. And so this painting was created in the early Renaissance, and it was created in 1430, between 1430 and 1440. And so this was created by Donatella. So this is the first freestanding sculpture. And so Donatello wanted to show the love and the respect of the body in this sculpture. He could have had David in clothes, and as we can see, David's in a soft hat and a pair of boots. But Donatello wanted to emphasize the beauty and the art of the body and the structure. As we can see, David is standing confidently and he's relaxed, he's poised. As you can see, David has a sword in his hand, and that's actually Goliath's sword. And on the other hand, he has a rock, and he's standing on Goliath's head. So Donatello does a great job with this sculpture because he brings it back to biblical reasons. And so the biblical reason is David fought a battle against his enemy, which was Goliath. And with God's help, he was able to have the victory and won this battle. And so that's why we see Goliath's head cut off and on the floor, because David just won the victory. And so the people of Florence can relate to David because the Florentine people defeated their enemy, which was the Duke of Milan in the 15th century. And so they can definitely connect with David because David was able to defeat his enemy just like they were able to defeat their enemy. And so they really see David as a symbol to them. They reference it as liberty to them, and they see him as a blessing from God, because they were able to do the same thing as David. So David represents courage, freedom, and power to the Florentine people. And so as we can see, David was sculptured and created with bronze. As we can see, it's hollow and it has a bit of tin so that it gives great strength of David. And then, like I said before, we have a soft hat and some boots. And so I feel as though Donatella didn't want to have any distractions. He wanted to show David's glory and all of his glory with him being so poised and being so confident in the skin that he is in. And so, as we can see, this symbolized to the Florentine people that um, this is a sign of liberty to them. This is a big deal for the Florentine people because they can relate to David so much. So that I think Donatello did such a great job with sculpturing the sculpture and really, getting all the details of his muscles and how relaxed he is because he has just won a great battle. So let's go on to the third one. So the third one is Elevation of the Cross. And so Elevation of the Cross is a Catholic painting, and it was created in the 1600s. And so this painting was created by the artist named Peter Paul Rubens. And so in this painting, first of all, this painting connects to Spain. And so Rubens' painting, he gets his commission from this painting through churches, and he's very successful with this painting because the commission of Catholic European churches and royal families that get this painting. And you can see this painting more so in churches and more so in the center of the church, which is called the altar. And so in this painting, this is a cathedral in, a cathedral in Antwerp. And so this painting is heroic because, as you can see, all these men have Jesus, pulling Jesus Christ up into the air. And so as we can see, Christ has been crucified and he is looking up. Let's take a look. He's looking up at the sky. And so it's as if he's having a conversation with God. Jesus Christ is having a conversation with God himself and, looking up at the sky. And so this is so powerful because we can see the emotion in Christ's face and how he is suffering from the pain, but he has his eye on God. And that's so amazing because look at all these strong men. These men are so ecstatic to put Christ up on this cross. I mean, it's crazy. Look at how it's so amazing and crazy at the same time how Rubens has really made this realistic and realism with the body of Christ and the way he paints Christ and the way he paints the guys with the muscles. It shows strength. It shows muscles, it shows power in this one big painting. And so even here with the dog, we can see the dog is ecstatic and jumping. It looks like the dog is trying to jump up to get in this action and help out with crucifying Christ. And so as we can see, there is a diagonal line, right? Take a look. There's a diagonal line and a dynamic line that we see in this painting. And so these men are working hard to really put Christ up there. This is also a two-dimensional painting as well. And so this painting is very, very important to the Catholic Church and is well known and well seen in the Catholic Church. So let's go on to the next one. So the next one is Anatomy of Lesson of Dr. Tulip. And so this painting was created in the 17th century, and this painting was created by the artist Rembrandt van Riebeeck. And so here we have a doctor who is Dr. Tulip. He's a famous doctor. Back then, he was a famous doctor for science and anatomy. And right here, we have his students. So these are his students, and then we have a body body here that they're looking and overseeing. So let's take a look at this. So pretty much this painting right here was bought by middle class and upper class people. So this painting was most seen in people's homes, in living rooms, in meeting rooms. This is a group portrait. So it's different than the painting that I showed you, the last painting, which was the Elevation of Cross, because that was a painting. This is a portrait. So pretty much this means that Regent was in this room while Dr. Tulip was doing this lesson. And so this makes this so much more powerful because these are actually people's faces that he portrayed and put on this painting. So let's take a look. So this is definitely a Dutch genre in this portrait right here. As you can see, their style, there's not a lot of skin showing except for hands and faces. And so Dr. Tulip is demonstrating on a cadvar, and so here anatomy was such a popular topic back then. People paid for classes and paid for lessons for anatomy, and people were so intrigued with learning about science and anatomy. And so in order to be in this portrait, you had to contribute a sum of money to be in the portrait. And so some people would pay even more to be up front and to be noticed more. Excuse me. And so this gives such a naturalism and a realism look because it is a portrait. This is a group portrait. And as we can see, Dr. Tulip is the main person that has everyone's attention. You see a man here. He has some notes written down. So it looks like he has been writing things down that Dr. Tulip has been saying. We have a man here and a man here that's intrigued and wanting to see, okay, what instrument he's using here. What ligament is this? We have a man here. It almost looks like as if, it almost looks as if someone had opened the door while he was giving the lesson, and he kind of got off guard and looked out to see who was opening the door, which is very interesting to me. Also, here we have these people over here. It looks like this guy may have been looking at Regine while he was painting, and then this guy over here looking at Dr. Tulip. So this represents proto-science and the importance and the serious topic of science. They took this to the heart and they were very intrigued by the lessons of science and anatomy. So let's go on to the next one. So the next one is David's Oath of the Horatio. And so this one's very interesting. This is pretty much one of my favorite ones. And so let's talk about this. So this was made in 1781. This was created by Jacques Louis David. And so here we have three soldiers, which are actually three brothers who are Horatio, and we have a man here, and we have three women here and two children here. So let's get into details with this painting here. So here, Rome was at war with Alba. And so before I even go into it, this painting was exhibited before the French Revolution even began. So like I said, Rome was at war with Alba. And so Rome sent three brothers to battle each other. And so here we have three Horatio brothers and their father. As we can see the structure and the poise, look at their veins. Look how serious and strong these men are. Look how rigid and tall these men are. And they're serious about this. They're serious about going to battle. And so as we see, the Father is leading them into this oath. So right now they're doing an oath to go to battle and to try to win this war. So the people that they're going to battle with is three brothers who are Horatio. And so it's very interesting because the father, as we can see, the father is serious. The father wants these men, his sons, to go into war. And so in the back, here we have a woman who we still don't know exactly who this is, but in my idea, in my head, I believe this is their mother, and this is his wife. And so I believe that these two little children are her grandchildren. And so she's like covering them up because this is a sad moment for the women. And so for the men, it's more of a heroic moment. They're more of the alpha, the more of the strong will lead type of situation that's going on with the guys. But it's very interesting because it's like as if you can see two emotions in these pictures, in this painting. You see strong and able, and then on this side it's sadness. Even their body posture is different. And so like I said, so she's covering the two children up. Right here we have a woman here and another woman here. Excuse me. Their eyes are both closed. And so this woman here, she is a Caracciolo woman. She was born into the Caracciolo bloodline, but married a Horatio. And so this lady right here, she was born into the Horatio family, but must marry a Caracciolo. And so this is very hard for them because families are going to be torn because of this battle. And so they don't know the outcome of who will survive and who will make it out. And you can see the women's bodies are passive, their bodies are limp, their eyes are closed, they're devastated. And so back then, women didn't have a say on what will go on with the battles, even if they didn't agree with their husbands doing, they still had to obey because women didn't have a choice. Women didn't have a say. And so these brothers are willing to die for their country. And this is just so saddened because they don't know who's going to survive at the end. And pretty much how it works is whoever survives in this battle wins the victory. And so, like I said, it's just such a sad moment for the women, but such a victorious and such an excitement moment for the men. So I believe Jacques does such a great job with the emotions and the posture and the structure of this picture and getting all that emotion in. This is definitely a family. A family situation that makes you sad and makes you feel for the women and also feel for the men because they want to win this so bad. So the next one we're going to talk about is Manet's Olympia. And so this painting was created in the 1863, and this was created by the artist named Eduardo Manet. And so here we have this painting was first of all a stamp of a government approval. So the government of France approved of this. And so this is a very formatic and art was expected during that time. So based on this is a classical and Renaissance art. And so Olympia, which is the woman here, symbolizes a real woman. So she's not a Venus, she's not a goddess, she's not perfect. As we can see, Arado really sculptured this woman. As you can see, the outline is black. He made this woman a real woman. He did not make her perfect or make her a perfection. The features are not idolized in this painting. And as we can see, Olympia is looking directly at the viewer. So Olympia has a servant right here. And so the servant is carrying flowers, and so she's kind of like showing the flowers to Olympia. So pretty much here, Olympia is a prostitute. Olympia is a high class prostitute. As we can see, she has all white sheets on this bed. She has like a fancy robe or a fancy sheet on it. She has like her fancy shoes. She's propped very elegantly with a flower on top of her head. And so this woman is graciously showing her the flowers that she has received from one of her clients as a gift for her pleasure of giving to her clients, the pleasure that she has given to her clients. And so in this illustration, it's such an illusion, and here we see Olympia is looking directly at us. And so this is such a sexual interest. It's as if she's almost seducing, not, I'm sorry, as if she is waiting for the viewer or waiting for someone to come in, as if she has an appointment that she is waiting for to please and pleasure her client in here. And so back then, Olympia was such a common name for prostitutes in Paris. And, excuse me, we can see here that Olympia is in a deep thought. She may be thinking that she is ready to get, her client service going. And so here, she is very confident. She's a confident woman, right? She's not slouched. She is sitting there very sexually and very confident, awaiting for her clients. So let's go on to the next one. So the next one is this painting is Picasso's Les Demoiselles d'Avon. And so this painting was created in 1907, and this was created by Picasso himself. So let's get into it. So Les Demoiselles d'Avon, that means young ladies of Avalon. And so what Picasso is trying to portray in this, in this painting is these women, right? So these are the main focus, the women. So this refers to a street in Barcelona, and so this street was associated with prostitution. So a lot of prostitutes were hanging out, in this street. And as we can see here, these women are fully nude and fully open to give their services out. And so this is the idea of a woman who is available, right? As we can see, she's naked. Her arm is behind her head. This one over here, her hand is above her. This lady over here, her arms are behind her. This woman over here, her legs are open up. And so this represents that they are ready to seduce. They are ready to seduce men and please the men on these streets of Barcelona. And so Picasso paints these women to turn their gaze outward. So they are open. They are engaging directly to the viewer's eyes. And so these two right here, these two women have African masks on. And so this represents France, because France had colonial possessions in Africa. And so that's what that represents. And then if we go here, this woman's face, this figure on the left is an Archerac figure, and so it goes back to the ancient Spain and the Liberian arts. And so this is a agglomeration of styles, and this is also a physical confrontation and danger in this painting, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of colors, but also Picasso wanted to portray the danger of this painting, because back then women and men weren't using protection back then. And so these women and men were getting and receiving sexually transmitted diseases from each other, because they were on the streets, giving their bodies away to these men that they have no idea who they were and what they did and what their background was. And so this represents otherness. This represents just the danger of what was going on in Barcelona and in that time, and how big prostitution was, and how these women here are waiting to please. As we can see, they're standing there, and it's interesting because this picture also gives a illusion as well. It constructs a three-dimensional form, so as if these women are standing, but if we wanted to take them out individually, they can also lay flat on their bodies, which means that they were ready. Picasso really wanted to show, I think he does such a great job with showing how three-dimensional these women are in these paintings, and how these women are ready. And it's very interesting because it looks like they're standing, but you can also say that these women are laying on a bed. This could be a pillow, this could be sheets. Looks like she's holding something, so that could be sheets. And also it can represent these women were interacting with each other as well, with one man. And so in this painting, we just see a lot of danger, and Picasso does such a great job with displaying what was going on back then. So the two paintings that I'm going to the two paintings that I'm going to compare are the Manet's Olympia and Les Demissions d'Avon. And so let's go right into it. And so the similarities of these paintings is that these women over here and this woman over here are prostitutes. They are in the same career, same services of pleasing pleasing men. And as we can see in their faces and their body posture, and her body posture, we can see that they don't have to do much to get these men's attention and seduce these men. They are ready to start their services. They are ready to prepare the night for their men, their men clients, excuse me. And so the difference between these two is, one, Picasso is more colorful, more vibrant. So as we can see, when I look at color, when I think of color, I see it represents a lot was going on back then, that there was a lot of togetherness, a lot of sexual things going on within each other. And so it just shows that these women over here were more willing and more open to do other things. And so over here, the difference over here is this woman, Olympia, she is a high class prostitute. She does as we can see, she does one-on-one service. It looks like she's living in like a penthouse or something like that. And these women look like they're just standing on the streets of Barcelona. And so this woman is an elegant woman. She is poised and very proper, and she doesn't have to do too much, as we can see here. And so that's the difference. Even with the color, it's very dull. The background is black or gray or in browns and dark colors and dark green. And so the only vibrant color that is being shown and focused is Olympia's body and her focus. The focus is on Olympia. And so it's very interesting. And so I believe that Picasso and Erardo, their historical focus was in the culture that they were trying to portray in both of these paintings, where that this is what was going on this is what was going on in 1907 and 1863, that women, their job and most of women's jobs were prostitutes, and that this was the culture of their society and of their of their lifestyle, that these women were pleasers. They were working to please these men back in those times. And so I think Picasso and Adado does such a great job with portraying what was going on in that time and how these women were so willing to be opened and gazed upon and confidently enough to be out in the streets or out in a private room to show off their body and show off their confidence in their skills of what they can do and what they are what they have been taught to do. And so I think that Picasso and Olympio wanted to show I think Picasso wanted to show the danger of what was going on back then and how right here it looks as though like there was more high class prostitutes in this time, which was 1863. So it was more private. The prostitutes were more classy, more elegant, more secretive of what they were doing, and more respected, as we can see with the flowers that she has received. And so then later on down the line, which was 1907, it seems that things have changed, and that women are just more open to having everything out in the street and not caring. And not being so private or not being so secretive of what they were doing. They were well known and people knew exactly what services they were giving out. And so it's just very interesting because they're so similar because of the prostitution, but so different at the same time. We can see that these women weren't as elegant, weren't as classy as Olympia was in this painting. And so I think these two artists did a good job with explaining what was going on within those years and how women were portrayed and how it was important for the women to please men. So I want to, and these are my references. So I just want to thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you learned something today. And, thank you for watching. Have a good day.